Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to Kay's Hidden Shelf where we talk about books. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I read in August. Now, I've actually already talked about quite a few of the books that I read back in August in separate spoiler-free review videos, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on those books. I'll give you a bit of info, what I maybe enjoyed, and just some quick thoughts on them because I've already done dedicated review videos for them, and I feel like this is going to get out of control very fast if I don't make those a little bit more concise. So I'll be sure to link all of those videos down in the description below or in the cards as I go through my quick thoughts on each of the books that I've already talked about. So in August, I ended up having quite a few more ARCs or advanced reading copies and review requests than I had initially anticipated. So we're going to cover those first along with the ones I've already done review videos for. The first book I read was an e-arc that was kindly sent to me from the publisher, and that was The Warrior by Stephen Aryan. Now this is an epic conclusion to the Quest of Heroes duology, the first book being The Coward. Kel Cressia is now king of Algany, and this two-time savior of the Five Kingdoms is living a much different life than we had seen him back in The Coward. This takes place years after the ending of The Coward, and we see how Kel has been faring since then. He tends to leave matters of the kingdom within his wife's capable hands and is just trying to get by in his day-to-day life. One day, Willow shows up to request that favor that she had asked of Kel many years ago. There is an illness spreading throughout Willow's homeland. It is tainting all life that it comes in contact with, and she is hoping that Kel can assist her in rectifying this. It was really nice to return to the world, to our character Kel Cressia, and some of the others that we had met in The Coward. Now, while Kel had grown in some ways, it felt like he had stagnated in others, and really I felt like another character in this book truly was the shining star of the story. And that character was Queen Sigrid. I'll talk more about that in a moment. We also get two new points of views, including Yara and Odd. While each of these characters were intriguing, their internal struggles were captivating, I truly found that Queen Sigrid's point of view, her character arc, her developments were really the shining star of this book, and she's been added to my list of favorite strong female characters as a result. There was also great character development across the cast, and it was nice to see the quest trope again. I know that it was explored in book 1, The Coward, and it is in this one as well, but I feel like the quest trope here is still different from what we had seen in The Coward. It felt like a whole new journey, a whole new experience to go on. The world building was excellent, and we get to see more of this world as Willow's world wasn't explored in The Coward, so we get a whole new kingdom and a whole new land, a whole new world is explored in this, and that was really nice to see too. I did find the pacing to be medium to fast. There was lots of action, lots to keep me engaged, and it made it hard to put down. Now, I did find that there was one scene that felt a bit rushed to me, and I would have liked to have seen a bit more exploration of some details that were mentioned in passing in the book that just would have been nice to get more information on and more exploration of. Overall, though, it was a fantastic read. I really enjoyed it, and I feel like this was an epic conclusion to a great duology. I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think what really held it back was that scene that felt rushed. Otherwise, I loved everything about this. After that, I read Army of the Cursed by Karim Solomon. This is book 1 in the War of the Last Days series, which is a sequel series to the Tales of Gorania. This is a self-published fantasy that is action-packed where humanity faces extinction. It's also an SPFBO semi-finalist, and I can certainly see why. First, this does take place in a very well-built world. It takes place in the world of Gorania, which has a deep-set history and is quite vast. Humanity is preparing for the last day, when the army of the cursed will arrive to destroy humanity. The mages in this world, the kingdom's leaders, are attempting to do their best to prepare for this day. Unfortunately, they're met with skepticism in many areas of the kingdoms, and some believe that the day may never come and resources and time are being wasted. All the while, the mages continue to work diligently to prepare for this day. Can they put their differences aside to fend off the army of the cursed, or will it break them further apart and lead them to extinction? This story is told through multiple points of views, with 3 characters getting the most time. Those being Layla, Nardine, and Halgrim, with 5 other POVs we get chapters from. While 5 of these points of views may not get reoccurring chapters, these characters that we get these extra 5 POVs from do give us extra insight into the storyline and are characters that are very closely related to the main 3, Layla, Nardine, and Halgrim. Now, prior to starting this, I did get some feedback that the sequel series may not be the best place to start. However, after reading it without reading the initial series first, The Tales of Gorania, I still feel like this is a good place to start if you want to give it a try. I don't feel like I'm missing out on a whole lot, as major plot points or details, history is explored in this through the perspective of the 3 younger characters. The information is given to the reader in a way that a parent might explain their own history to their children and flows naturally with the story. So it didn't feel like I was missing out. I feel like this was easy to read and jump into without having read that initial series first. Of course, this is an individual choice on whether or not you'd like to start with the initial series, The Tales of Gorania, or you just want to jump into the sequel series, The War of the Last Day. Now, the main characters that we see in this are younger, they're in their teens, and the initial start of the book, they do have a younger maturity to them. This can be tricky for some readers, however, I did find that these characters did mature throughout this book, so it was nice to be able to kind of grow with them and read along with their experiences and how they were growing and maturing. Now, it did take me about 25% of the book to get comfortable with the characters, likely as a result of that younger maturity, and some of their actions or choices seemed random or abrupt at times. However, by the time I finished the story, I enjoyed the characters and the developments that they got. For pacing, I'd say the first half of the book is a bit of a slow burn, with that 50% and on mark just taking off in pace, and I found it hard to put down after that. This had political intrigue, magic, mystery, great action scenes, interesting characters, and an engaging storyline, all setting up for Book 2, Tattered Banners. Overall, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. There was a lot that I enjoyed in it, and I'm looking forward to continuing with the series. Next was my most anticipated read for this year, and I was very lucky enough to receive an advanced reading copy in exchange for an honest review, and that was Bonds of Chaos by Zach Argyle, Book 3, and the finale of the Threadlight trilogy. The heralds have returned, believed to be saviors and gods, but some know the truth and must stop them. Chris and his band of people he loves, along with Laurel and Alvarax, must venture and travel to find the last Amber Threadweaver in order to stop the heralds. After finishing Stones of Light, which was book 2 in the trilogy, I wondered how Zach was going to be able to stick the landing. Was he going to be able to match or top what he accomplished in Stones of Light? And I can tell you absolutely yes. Zach stuck the landing for this trilogy, and not only is it my favorite trilogy so far in fantasy, it is one of the best executed fantasies I've read with such a short page count. This had great action, high stakes, and thought-provoking moments with so much more. The characters are tested here. We get to see more development, more building of their personalities and their relationships, more exploration of parenthood from a variety of different ages and perspectives. Not to mention the thought-provoking scenes that did make me stop and catch my breath. In just a short time, the characters' personalities, their relationships, and their struggles are explored in more depth. The author builds their relationships, tests the characters' resolves, and creates a family all mixed into a fast-paced story. While I really enjoyed the characters in the first 2 books, they really shine here as they come to the end of their character arc and development, at the end of the trilogy. I feel like Zach did their characters and the story so much justice and expertly pulled off the finale. The world building and the magic system are explored in more depth, and to say that there are impactful moments would be an understatement. This explored sacrifice, self-discovery, found family, and had memorable characters. This left me speechless and full of emotions. It definitely left me in a book hangover for a little bit, and I already can't wait to reread this trilogy to get back into this world and see our characters again. Just phenomenal job by Zach in writing this trilogy and sticking the landing with the ending. I highly recommend that you give the Threadlight trilogy a try. It is a fantastic series. Each book is under 300 pages, and the writing is phenomenal. Zach accomplishes so much from character work to world building, storytelling in such a short page count that it is truly amazing to me. This also has the best representation of parenthood that I have ever seen in books and fantasy and sci-fi. It explores parenthood from various age groups and different perspectives beautifully. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. This is definitely a world I will be jumping back into. Next is one that I technically finished on September 1st, though it was the last 50 pages of the book, so I'm counting this as an August read, and that was The Blood of the Spear by Mark Timmony. This is book 1 in the Eye of Eternity series, a self-published fantasy that feels reminiscent of classic fantasy books. Again, this is one that I've done a full spoiler-free review for, so I'll leave a link where you can find that, and this was another review copy sent to me in exchange for an honest review. The quick tagline for this is that it is 2 brothers and 1 prophecy. The brothers themselves, Darian and Cale Toranth, are very different from one another, having very different personalities and interests or goals in life. Cale hopes to become a demon hunter, whereas his brother Darian hopes to become a mage of one of the factions in this world. Unfortunately, things don't go as planned as they end up going on the run. Mark Timmony pulls you in quickly to this story with an action-packed first chapter, and the pacing does vary throughout the book with slow to fast scenes, although it was engaging and captivating with an intricate and rich world building. This world is captivating with magical creatures, demons, magic wielders, and warriors. Lore, a deep-set history that spans thousands of years. There's also political intrigue, as there are a variety of factions, both in noble houses and magic wielders throughout the world. For the characters, there are likable and unlikable characters. With the unlikable characters, it can be a fine line for readers. However, I found myself kind of enjoying the unlikable character to a degree, in the sense that, yes, this character made me annoyed and I was frustrated with them and often yelling at the pages during their points of view. However, the character development and the insights that we get into this unlikable character were intriguing. That being said, I did struggle to connect with the characters. Their banter just didn't hit the mark for me, and they are a younger cast for the most part, being in their late teens, and that could be the reason that I struggled to connect with them. While this did make it difficult to get invested in the characters, overall I did enjoy their character arcs, the developments, and these struggles that they went through. We also get a nice mix of flawed characters along with self-discovery. You can really tell with this how much time Mark Timmony has spent developing the world and the characters, its history, its lore, all of it. There is a lot of thought and care put into this, and I feel like this is going to be a fantastic read for any classic fantasy fan out there. I should also mention that this is a bit of a chunker at 600 pages, and there are a lot of new terms and definitions and names of places and people that you need to keep track of, but Mark Timmony has included a glossary at the back of the book, which helps you keep track of all of that and reference throughout your reading experience. Overall, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This was a spellbinding read that left me theorizing all within a rich and detailed world, which I absolutely adored and am looking forward to continuing with in book 2. There are 2 books left, and these ones I haven't talked about on the channel yet. The first one is Pyramids by Terry Pratchett. Now, this was a buddy read over at Treebeard's book reviews, and with a bunch of other booktubers. I'll leave links where you can find all their channels down below. We all buddy read this, or most of us, and we had a lot of varying opinions. So when I was asked to join in this buddy read, I had not read any of the Discworld books, nothing by Terry Pratchett, and I knew going into this that this likely wasn't the best book to start off with in the Discworld series. However, for the past year, I've struggled to decide where to start. There are a lot of options. There's a lot of places you can start in the series, and the sheer overwhelming amount of choices left me very indecisive and just, I have not started it. So for me, this was a way to start into the Discworld series, motivated by friends who were also reading it, whether or not I ended up enjoying this particular installment. I also ended up going with the audiobook for this, and I think that was the worst mistake I could have made. The reason for this being that there were a lot of literary jokes in this book, and I'm assuming in Discworld overall, that just don't come across in the audiobook, at least in the specific edition that I listened to. While there were good things, the writing was great, the world was definitely interesting, and there were some funny parts, I just could not get invested in the story or the characters, unfortunately. So while I'm not rating it, because I kind of wish I DNF'd it, I don't think it's terrible, and I do think that people will enjoy it. Unfortunately, it just did not work for me, and I think the audiobook had a big part in that. So I look forward to trying it again maybe one day, but for now, I've at least started the Discworld series, and I can pick a different book within the series to now start from. And finally, the last book that I read was Paths of Chaos by Aaron S. Jones. This has been a fantastic trilogy so far. This is a self-published grimdark fantasy and book 2 in the Broken Gods trilogy. This picks up a few months from where the Flames of Rebellion left off, and this is just another example of an author taking their writing, their stories, the world building and character development to another level. In this, a darkness shrouds the land of Takara, magic flees the world, and the Empire of Light is looking to make their move. The warriors from the Borderlands are trying to find their friends and adjust to the new life that has taken hold in their Borderlands alongside ancient enemies. Others have been banished from the United Cities of Arcania and hope to find new lives elsewhere in the world. Through it all, chaos has awakened and is threatening to wipe the world out and start it anew. The warriors of Takara are left with a choice as fear and blood consume the world around them. Embrace the chaos or die. We get multiple POVs in this, from Kane, Arden, Alistair, Sly, and I believe Cypher as well. This gives us a continued look at the world and the story from a variety of perspectives. Especially as the characters end up traveling more, we get a wider view of the world, more world building, and along with the different religions and cultures that come with all of that. These differences also give us more insight into the conflicts between the kingdoms of this world. The characters' developments and arcs are engaging, well-crafted, and executed. This builds on the characters that we saw in Flames of Rebellion in a fantastic way. This just proves to me that Aaron S. Jones is very dedicated to writing a character-driven story and does well at executing fantastic character developments. So much so that these side characters are even endearing and complex in their own ways. To be able to give that much attention in a story to not only the main characters, but these side characters that we meet as well, in not a huge book, is astounding to me. Ultimately giving the characters more depth to their personalities and their motivations, and giving the feel that these characters are jumping off the page. There are morally gray characters, situational and internal struggles. Aaron S. Jones is not afraid to test his character's resolve along with exploring the complexities of humanity. The world's lore expands in this as well, and had several moments that had me on the edge of my seat or holding my breath in anticipation. This was a compelling continuation to the trilogy that kept me wanting more. It avoided the pitfalls of the middle book syndrome as well. As for the pacing, it was medium throughout, with lots of intrigue, political scheming, mystery. We also get great action and great characters. Not to mention, this is a grimdark fantasy, so there was a lot of bloody and gripping, gritty scenes. There were also several moments that I did not see coming and invested me further into the story. As the stakes continue to get higher, Paths of Chaos sets up for Book 3, the conclusion of the trilogy, End of Days. Aaron S. Jones has a skill for writing compelling stories along with great character work. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend this series for any fantasy or grimdark fantasy readers out there. I really feel like Aaron S. Jones is in the category of one of my favorite authors at this point, and I am so excited to see what happens in the conclusion, End of Days. So that is everything I read in August. I'd say it was a pretty good reading month. I had a lot of great reads, with one that was, but overall, I found lots of series to enjoy, and I was able to finish a couple series, so that was nice as well. But what do you think? Do any of these look interesting to you? Do they sound intriguing? Will you pick them up? If you've read some of them already, what did you think of them? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave your comments down below. As always, thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves.